Hare Krishna, welcome to this episode of Caitanya Charitamrita. In this episode, we will be studying Adi Leela, chapter 10, text 29 onwards. The chapter is the trunk, branches and sub-branches of the Caitanya tree. Alright, so we will say our Mangalacharan prayers and begin. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimidandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So welcome to this Caitanya Charitamrita session. So please inform the others this live stream is already live. That will be helpful. And we will proceed to our verse under discussion. So we are actually starting off different, just a mention. It's not really a deep study, but a mention of all the devotees in the Caitanya Gaudiya Sampradaya. So as you know, many times I have reiterated this point. Sampradaya is not just a linear, one line like that. It's a branch. In each of the acharyas are the nodes of that tree. So it's an ever-expanding tree that exists in the material world, and there are many such trees of parampara. On the earth there are 4 at present. There used to be, Surya Sampradaya also. Krishna said that was broken, so Krishna started again with Arjuna. Is the sound not enough? Because I'm just using the same mic. Is it too low? Hare Krishna. Please let me know. I think I can, maybe I can remove the mic, then it will be alright. One second. I'm just checking on the sound at the moment. Okay, probably it's better now. I think it's louder, I guess. So let me know in the comments now, is it louder now? So Caitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela chapter 10 verse 29. Prabhura atyanta priya pandit Gangadas Jahar smarane hoy sarva bandhanash Much better now. Okay, thank you very much. It was an audio setting in the computer. Pandit Gangadas was the eighth dear branch of the tree of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. One who remembers his activities attains freedom from all bondage. Here is what is that? Indication that the topics of the devotees, the pastimes of the devotees, are as purifying as the topics of the Lord. You see, Jahar Smarane Hoy Sarvabandhanash. One who remembers his activities attains freedom from all bondage. Now, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo vit tattvata tyaktva deham punarjanmana iti mameti saurjuna. So here he says, one who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not upon leaving the body take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode of Arjuna. But here it is said that this Pandit Gangadas's activities also have the same effect. This is the thing about Krishna and his devotees. So it's absolute, either way. I think there is a verse in the third canto. Let me just do a gambling here. Gambling with the numbers. I hope I can remember. I hope I can strike the lottery. 3-13-4. I think I struck the lottery. Transcendental gambling. So, Srimad Bhagavatam 3.13.4 Shrutasya pumsam suchirashramasya nanmanjasa suribhiriditortha tat gunānushravanam mukunda pādaravindam hridayeshu yesham. Mukunda pādaravindam hridayeshu yesham. Yesham means who, those who have hridayeshu in their hearts, mukunda pādaravindam, in who, those whose hearts have the lotus feet of Krishna. Tat gunānushravanam. See, that is explained here. Persons who hear from a spiritual master with great labor and for a long time must hear from the mouths of pure devotees about the character and activities of pure devotees. See that? Pure devotees always think within their hearts of the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead who awards his devotees liberation. So we must hear the activities of pure devotees. You see here also the previous verse. Charitam tasya rajarshe radirajasya sattama bruhi me shraddadhanaya vishvaksenashrayo hyasau. O best of the virtuous, the original king of kings, Manu, was a great devotee of the personality of Godhead Hari, and thus it is worth hearing of his sublime character and activities. Please describe them, I am very eager to hear. 3:28-18, Subala Prabhu is saying. Okay, 3:28-18. I was not aware of this. Wow, very nice. Kirtanya tirtha yashasam punya shloka yashaskaram dhyayed devam samagrangam yavan nachyavate manaha. Beautiful. The glory of the Lord is always worth singing, for his glories enhance the glories of his devotees. One should therefore meditate upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead and upon his devotees. One should meditate on the eternal form of the Lord until the mind becomes fixed. Very nice. So, the same purpose. So here, Om Tad Vishnu Paramam Padam Sada Pashyanti Surayah. The form of Vishnu is the highest individuality and is always visible to sages and saintly persons. The same purpose is served when a devotee worships the form of the Lord in the temple. So, okay, this is about the Lord in the temple. So, another significant word in this verse is Punya Shloka Yashaskaram. The devotee is called Punya Shloka. As one becomes purified by chanting the holy name of the Lord, So one can become purified simply by chanting the name of a holy devotee. It is sometimes feasible to chant the name of a holy devotee. This is a very sanctified process. Lord Chaitanya was once chanting the holy names of the gopis when his students criticized him. Why are you chanting the names of the gopis? Why not Krishna? Lord Chaitanya was irritated by the criticism, and so there was a misunderstanding between him and his students. He wanted to chastise them for desiring to instruct him on the transcendental process of chanting. So that's a, and then eventually he took sannyas when they were trying to criticize him. And then because of sannyas, now he is a sannyasi, so everybody must respect him. So he wanted to bring them back. The point is, Lord Chaitanya was chanting the names of the gopis. On the 108 beads, he was chanting the 108 gopis' names, the principal 108 gopis. So that's why we chant Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Sunyavad Paschatya Deshatarine. So this is the name and the pastime of Srila Prabhupada. So both, name, pastimes, characteristics of Prabhupada. So Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya, he is at the lotus feet of Vishnu, dear to Krishna. Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Bhutale means on the earth. He is known as Bhaktivedanta Swami. So his name is there. His characteristic is there, that he is very dear to Krishna. Then Namaste Saraswati Deve. Again, his relation with his guru. So he is not out of the parampara. He is pretty much part of the parampara. Vaishnav parampara. Gauravani Pracharine. Wow, that is the thing. His biggest contribution to the world was Gauravani Pracharine. He preached the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Nirvishesha Shunyavada Paschatya Deshatarine. And the impact is that he preached this Gauravani, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy, in the countries that are laden with Mayavadi and Shunyavadi philosophies, Buddhist and Neo-Buddhist philosophies. So these are all, this meditation on it's not just mantra. Mantra means it is to focus the mind. The sound is there to help focus the mind on certain things. So if we just try to remember the characteristics of Prabhupada, we don't know what we have to do. But when there is a mantra describing all these things, then we are forced to remember those characteristics, those names, that qualities and pastimes. So that's why the shlokas help in the remembrance of all these things. Right? So very nice, 3:28:18. Okay. So 3:13:3. So Srimad Bhagavatam is full of the transcendental topics of the personality of Godhead and his pure devotees. In the absolute world, there is no difference in quality between the Supreme Lord and his pure devotee. Therefore, hearing the topics of the Lord and hearing of the character and activities of the pure devotee have the same result, namely the development of devotional service. In fact, some of the times it is, especially when one has a little bit understanding of the characteristics of the Lord, the characteristics of the devotees are even more attractive. Because the Lord is, for example, Nṛsiṁhādev and Prahlad Maharaj. It is very inspiring to see how Nṛsiṁhādev protects his devotees. But the thing is, we do not know how to reciprocate Nṛsiṁhādev's love for the devotee and his protection, or how to even offer prayers. How would we know how to offer prayers if the Lord is doing his pastimes? But when the devotees offer the prayers, that is the mood how I should be devotee. So when the devotees write songs and the Acharya writes songs, like today morning we sang the song Dushtaman Tumi Kiser Vaishnava. I think we did a Vaishnava song, studying Vaishnava songs episode on that as well, that song as well. So that is how Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur teaching us how to chastise our mind. So that's how I should think. So Krishna personally did not show how to. That's why he came as his devotee, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Bhaktavataram. So he came as his own devotee to teach us how to become devotee. And by his dealings with other devotees, then we can understand how we should. Like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, if you see in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, he quoted, every time he said something, he will quote from different references. And even his devotees would quote from references whenever they claim something. They claim something and then they quote immediately reference. So that is how we understand, this is how a devotee should speak. So if we just hear the pastimes of the Lord, yes, it's fine. But pastimes of the Lord does with who? With the devotees. So automatically you will get to know about the devotees. They are intertwined, because you can't have pastimes of the Lord without devotees. With whom he does pastimes then? So I think in the 4.9, just a second, there is some reference of I do not know if it's true, but let me see. Yes, this is the one. Purusha Bodhini Upanishad. Eko Devo Nitya Leelanurakto Bhaktavyapi Hridyantaratma. The one Supreme Personality of Godhead is eternally engaged in many, many transcendental forms in relationships with his unalloyed devotees. This is from the Upanishad, Shruti, for those Mayavadis who are into Shrutis and not Smritis, which is offensive, but still. But you see, Eko Devo Nitya Leelanurakto Bhaktavyapi. So if there is no Bhakta, with who he has his Leelas? And different names that he has, it's all in relation with his devotees. So Krishna and his devotees can never be intertwined. That's why when I say Krishna, name, form, pastimes, paraphernalia, entourage, everything is included. Even in the beginning of the Caitanya Charitamrita, Adi 1.1, Vande Guru Nisha Bhakta Nisha Nisha Avatarakan Tat Prakasham Satat Shakti Sri Caitanyam, what is that? Samnyakam. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Samnyakam. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when we say Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sango Pangastra Parshadam, the whole Sangha is included. His devotees, his weapons are basically his devotees. And the holy name, all this is included. You can't have Chaitanya Mahaprabhu without holy name or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu without devotees. No, always with devotees. So Gangadas was like that. I think Gangadas is the spiritual master of Narottam Das Thakur. I forgot. Maybe Srinivasacharya, Narottam Das Thakur, or Shyamananda Pandit. I do not know. Again, we will learn more about Gangadas, I think, later on. Let me see if I... So anyway, I think maybe there are some verses on Gangadas here, but I am not going to go all the way there. So these are only mentions of the devotees there. Lokanath Goswami is a spiritual master of Narottam Das Thakur. Yeah. No, somebody else. I think I'm just missing out. So anyway, my memory of these is not very good. Caitanya Parshad Shri Acharya Purandar Pita Kori Jare Bole Gauranga Sundar. Shri Acharya Purandar, the 9th branch, was a constant associate of Lord Chaitanya's. The Lord accepted him as his father. It is described in the Chaitanya Bhagavat that whenever Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited the house of Raghav Pandit, he also visited Purandar Acharya immediately upon receiving an invitation. Purandar Acharya is to be considered most fortunate because the Lord used to greet him by addressing him as his father and embracing him in great love. Dāmodara Pandit Shakha Premete Prachanda Prabhuro Upare Jeho Koilovakya Danda. Dāmodara Pandit, the 10th branch of the Chaitanya tree, was so elevated in love of Lord Chaitanya that he once unhesitatingly chastised the Lord with strong words. I think this was when he was running, when a woman was... Yeah. Oh yeah, this is a bit different. Okay. दंड कथा कहिबो आगे विस्तार करिया दंडे तुष्ट प्रभु तारे पाठाइला ना दिया. Later in Caitanya Charitamrita, I shall describe this incident of chastisement in detail. The Lord, being very much satisfied by this chastisement, sent Dāmodara Pandit to Navadvip. I don't know whether he was really satisfied. he sent him away. So there were actually two sides of this chastisement. So one where it is wrong, one when it is right, something like that. There was a description of this. So purport: Damodar Pandit, who was formerly known as Shaibya in Vrajadham, used to carry messages from Lord Caitanya to Sachimata, and during the Rath Yatra festival, he carried messages from Sachimata to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But I think this is not Swarup Damodar. This is another Damodar Pandit. Okay, Antya 20. This is the last, isn't it? Not this. Definitely not this. Damodar Pandit. Anyway, if somebody finds, maybe share it. Maybe you can. I can show it here. Okay. Tahara anuja shakha Shankara Pandit Prabhur Padopadhan Jar Nama Vidit. The 11th branch, the younger brother of Damodar Pandit, was known as Shankar Pandit. He was celebrated as the shoes of the Lord. So the shoes of the Lord incarnated as a person. Can you imagine that? So that is how spiritual existence is. The shoes of the Lord are also a person. You know, in the spiritual world, everything is a person. Sadashiva Pandit Jar Prabhupade Asha Prathame Nityanandera Jar Ghare Vasa. Sadashiv Pandit, the 12th branch, was always eager to serve the lotus feet of the Lord. It was his good fortune that when Lord Nityananda came to Navadvip, he resided at his house. It is mentioned in Chaitanya Bhagavat, Untitled Chapter 9, that Sadashiv Pandit was a pure devotee and that Nityananda Prabhu resided at his house. Now, just like we read in the 1029 Adilila here, that just by learning about name and activities of Gangadas Pandit, one becomes purified, and we have seen related verses from Bhagavatam. So, like the Shadgoswami Ashtaka, in every translation of that, in the translation of every verse of that song, all the 6 names are mentioned. But it is good, it is purifying to chant their names. And also sometimes in, like here you see, you are learning about the names of the branches, but not much detail into their activities yet. But still, it is not something which is not relevant or something. Oh, why should I? I should read rather something which is instructive rather than just names of acharyas. No, so that is our misunderstanding. So I was thinking like that. I was thinking that offensively like that. Okay, somebody has shared. So I was thinking in the beginning when I was reading Bhagavatam, the dynasties. Sukadeva Goswami would list down the names of the dynasties, and then this son, and he married this person, this woman, and then they had 5 children, and then this first son had this children, and he did this, and second son he married this. So it is like so much information. I don't know how he remembered this. So his memory is super memory. So much, the whole thing. So sometimes we are saying, why am I reading this? But the thing is, they are all connected. If their names are mentioned in the Bhagavatam and they have, to do with the pastimes of the Lord, or even to be in the dynasty where the Lord appeared and did his pastimes, is glorious. In fact, I will show you one verse from Kunti Devi's Stuti. See here. केचिदाहुरजं जातं पुण्यश्लोकस्य कीर्तये यदोः प्रियस्यान्ववाये मलयस्येव चन्दनम्. Radhika Mataji is saying, yes, I also felt like that. So many kings, so many children, all their wives' names, but it's indeed purifying to read. Yeah, we just don't understand. We can't appreciate it, you see, because of our lack of understanding. So, some say that the unborn, so Kuntidevi is saying in this verse 1832 of Srimad Bhagavatam, some say that the unborn is born for the glorification of pious kings. The unborn is who? What is that? Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadir. Adir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. Anadir, he has no beginning, he has no father or mother, he is the unborn who is ever existing. But that unborn is born. Some say that the unborn is born for the glorification of pious kings, and others say that he is born to please King Yadu, one of your dearest devotees. You appear in his family as sandalwood appears in the Malaya hills. So, previously in Malaysia, it was full of sandalwood. So, Malayasyeva Chandanam. Malayasyeva Chandanam means the chandan from Malaysia. So that was like well known for its quality and kind of quality. So because of chandan is actually good, but because of chandan was in Malaysia, so Malaysia had got a good name. It became famous. Otherwise, it had no. Its fame is dependent on that quality of the chandan. You see, the same soil is producing many other things also, but because it's producing chandan and the chandan is liked by everyone. Oh, where is this chandan from? What is this? Oh, this is from Malaysia. Oh, Malaysian chandan. Oh, okay. But now there was only palm oil there in Malaysia. That's a different thing. But you see, that is how Yadava Kula. Who cares? But we care. Why? Because Krishna took birth there. So for the glorification of pious kings, he takes birth in their dynasty. Punya Shlokasya, of the great pious king. Kirtaye, for glorifying. So just by being in the dynasty where Krishna appeared, that dynasty is purified and all the names of the dynasty are, glorified. And just by chanting their name, because they are dear to Krishna. Madbhakta Puja Bhyadhika. 11:9:20 to 24 here 1 2 21 11:19 21 you see Adarah Paricharyayam Sarvangairabhivandanam Sarvangairabhivandanam prostrated obeisance is Dandavat Pranam Sashtanga Namaskar Madbhakta Puja Bhyadhika Sarvabhuteshu Manmatihi. So Madbhakta Puja Bhyadhika means worship of the devotee is more important than worship of Krishna. Krishna himself says this. So there is another verse in the Caitanya Charitamrita. Okay, here. So he's instructing Sanatana Goswami on all the principles of devotional service, and Sanatana Goswami would later make it into a book called Haribhakti Vilas. But this was the instruction that led to the manifestation of the Haribhakti Vilas by Sanatana Goswami. So while instructing, so this is different items he is mentioning about how devotees should, what devotees should do as part of devotional service. What all should be their activities? Chanting 16 rounds, following 4 principles, then what? Then do all whatever nonsense I want. No. Whole day there is full of activities. So what are those activities? So they are mentioned here. So one should 23 attend Aarti and festivals. Artrika Mahotsav Srimurti Darshan Nijapriya Dana Dhyana Tadiya Sevan. So meditate on the deity, present what is very dear to oneself to the deity. Nijapriya Dan. Nija means own. Priya. Whatever is dear to me, Dan. Give it to Krishna. Nijapriya Dan. Dhyana Tadiya Sevan. Meditate on the deity and serve those related to the Lord. And 27 to 30, that means 4 items are here. Tadiya Sevan. Tadiya is counted as 4. So that is explained here in the next verse. Tadiya includes Tulasi, Vaishnav, Mathura and Bhagavat. Tulasi, Vaishnav, Mathura, Bhagavat. Tulasi we understand, Vaishnav we understand. Mathura, not only Mathura, but also all his places of pastimes. And the places of pastimes of his devotees. Everything included. And Bhagavat. Srimad Bhagavatam. So, Charir Seva Hoy Krishner Abhimata. See, the desire of Krishna is that, you see, the Tadiya means the Tulasi leaves the devotees of Krishna, the birthplace of Krishna, Mathura, and the Vedic literature, Srimad Bhagavatam. Krishna is very eager to see his devotees serve Tulasi, Vaishnavas, Mathura and Bhagavatam. So, worshipping of Krishna is one thing, is very important, but worshipping things that are related to Krishna, things or people that are related to Krishna, like Dham, Vaishnav, Tulasi and Bhagavat, book, these are even more. Aradhananam sarvesham Vishnur aradhanam param. What is that? Tasmat parataram devi tadiyanam samarchanam. Tadiyanam. So Lord Shiva is telling in the Padma Puran that Aradhananam sarvesham Vishnur aradhanam param, of all kinds of worship of different devatas and everybody, Vishnu's worship is highest, but there is something higher than that. Tasmat parataram devi, higher than that is tadiyanam samarchanam. Tadiyanam means plural, tadiyanam. So of course it is mentioning the devotees and especially Tulasi, but all these, tadiya means all these, samarchanam. So that's why madbhakta puja bhyadhika. So in this way we have to understand, because ultimately we want to satisfy Krishna. By glorifying him, yes, he is satisfied. By glorifying his devotees, he is even more satisfied. So our thing is to attract Krishna. So why in Vrindavan they say Radhe Radhe or Jai Shri Radhe? So why they say that? Because if we glorify Radharani's name, then Krishna will be satisfied. We want to attract Krishna. So what will make him more happy? His devotees. Sadashiv Pandit was a pure devotee, and Sadashiv Pandit, the 12th branch, was very eager to serve the lotus feet of the Lord. It was his good fortune that when Lord Nityananda came to Navadvip, he resided at his house. Purport. It is mentioned in the Caitanya Bhagavat Antikhanda chapter 9 that Sadashiv Pandit was a pure devotee and that Nityananda Prabhu resided at his house. So, there's a cross reference from Caitanya Bhagavat. Shri Nṛsiṁha Upasaka Pradhuna Brahmacharya Prabhu Tara Nama Kailav Nṛsiṁhānanda Kore. So Subal Prabhu is saying, so during Gaur Purnima drama we did the right thing by always glorifying Lord Nityananda Prabhu. Yeah, because usually on Chaitanya Gaur Purnima drama we do this Jagai Mathai deliverance. So mostly there the glorification is of Nityananda Prabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually broke his promise there of not taking up weapons in this incarnation, but he broke that promise. But that is also, of course, it is not that it is something condemned. No, he did it to protect his devotees. So again, just as for Arjuna, he said, I take up the wheel. He took up the wheel against Bhishma to protect his devotee. He broke the promise. So in Chaitanya Charitamrita also, Chaitanya Leela, he was not supposed to take any weapon. But for his devotee, Nityananda Prabhu, he took up weapons. So that's how he's teaching us as a devotee how we should become angry when another devotee is this thing. So there is of course greatness of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu there, but it was Nityananda Prabhu who delivered Jagai and Madhai. And it is said in the 1665 Madhya Leela 16.65 purport that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was delivering all the scholarly people like Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Keshav Kashmiri, Prakashananda Saraswati, and even Chand Kazi, who was also Muslim. He was a scholar in Muslim scriptures. And then he spoke to Buddhists, he spoke to Mayavadis, he spoke to Tattvavadis, he spoke to Sri Vaishnava Acharya Venkata Bhatt. So many, of course, he also delivered so many, even animals he delivered, honestly. Nityananda Prabhu delivered Jagai and Madhai, who were very fallen. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu even did animal deliverance in Jharkhand forest. So of course Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can deliver everyone, but he tries to glorify his devotee. So Nṛsiṁha Upasak, he's a worshipper of Nṛsiṁha, Pradhuna Brahmacharya. The 13th branch was Pradhuna Brahmacharya. Since he was a worshipper of Lord Nṛsiṁhadev, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu changed his name to Nṛsiṁhānanda Brahmacharya. Purport. Pradhuna Brahmacharya is described in the Untitled Chapter, second chapter of Sri Caitanya Charitamrita. He was a great devotee of Lord Chaitanya who changed his name to Nṛsiṁhānanda. While coming from the house of Raghav Pandit at Panihati to the house of Shivananda, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in the heart of Nṛsiṁhānanda Brahmacharya. To acknowledge this, Nṛsiṁhānanda Brahmacharya used to accept as eatables the food of three deities, namely Jagannath, Nrsimhadev and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is stated in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Untitled second chapter verses 48 through 78. Upon receiving information that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was proceeding toward Vrindavan from Kulia, Nṛsiṁhānanda absorbed himself in meditation and by his mental activities began constructing a very nice road from Kulia to Vrindavan. All of a sudden, however, he broke his meditation and told the other devotees that this time Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would not go to Vrindavan but would travel only as far as the place known as Kanai Natshala. This is described in the Madhya Leela chapter 1 verses 155 through 162. The Gaura Ganodesh Deepika 74 says, Aveshascha Tathagneyo Mishre Pradyumna Samgyake. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu changed the name of Pradyumna Mishra or Pradhuna Brahmacharya to Nṛsiṁhānanda Brahmacharya, for in his heart Lord Nrsimhadev was manifest. It is said that Lord Nrsimhadev used to talk with him directly. Wow. So you see, just like that Kholavecha Sridhar, not Kholavecha Sridhar, the South Indian Brahman who was meditating on the, how to serve the Lord. He was cooking and everything, and he was, that sweet rice when he put the hand and then his finger burnt. Now here, this Nṛsiṁhānanda Brahmacharya, Pradhumna Brahmacharya, he was so okay. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Yuvraj Thakurji, please don't write so many comments. Just be, because it's a bit of a distraction here. You see, please, our thing is not to chant Radhe Radhe. We have to chant Hare Krishna. Okay, and please don't write so many comments. Please listen to the class. So, so you see, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Vrindavan once in his lifetime, only once. Now, second time he was going to go, but then he was taken to Navadvip, and from there he wanted to go, but then when he wanted to go, so this Nṛsiṁhānanda Brahmacharya was meditating. By his mental activities, he began constructing a very nice road, because the last time he went through the forest path, Jharkhand forest, and that's where he delivered the animals. But he wanted to build him a nice road so that he can go nicely. Because he is a supreme lord, they're going to make good arrangements. King is coming, you ask him to go through the forest with wild animals. What is that? So, royal treatment. So, he wanted to build a road. But of course, he was not, really constructing a road, but he was constructing. He was meditating like that. Now, you may think, hey, come on, what is this? This is foolish, what will happen if I mentally construct? But the Lord will accept. Like that South Indian Brahman, who was doing that cooking, and the finger got burnt when he was checking in the mental process of cooking. he cooked this kheer, and then because kheer has to be offered cold. So is this cold enough? So he just touched with his finger, and the finger burned, and his finger burned. How? So there is a reality that transcends. So spiritual life is more transcendental than even mental or physical. So it has the same effect whether we meditate or not. So Prabhu, this is nice, Prabhu. Tomorrow I will cook for Krishna. I am imagining that I'm cooking all these things. But we cannot be in that state of meditation because we are hungry. We want to eat something. We will cook. See, but these devotees, they can. Yeah. Not only that, they actually, like this that Brahman, he was actually meditating that he was going to every single holy place and collecting in golden pots water from those holy places and bringing back. So he was meditating very, very with full detail, not just like quickly here, quickly there, quickly, just like a shortcut something. This is good, Prabhu. So in this way, one can actually do. This is called manas seva. Yuvraj Thakur is asking, Prabhuji, Krishna is Radha and Radha is Krishna, right or wrong? Please answer. Okay, I'll answer you later, after the class. Okay, questions all later. So, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu changed the name of Pradhuna Mishra. Oh, this is where I am. Yeah, same, okay. Okay, I've read the whole purport, right? Okay, fine. So of course, when we go to Antilila, when we will read this part, or shall we just go there? Antilila, 2nd chapter, verses 48. 2nd chapter, 48. Suddenly Nṛsiṁhānanda arrived. So when suddenly? What is happening here? As the month passed, but Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu did not come, Jagadananda and Shivananda became most unhappy. When the month of Pausha arrived, Jagadananda and Shivananda collected all kinds of paraphernalia for the Lord's reception. Every day they would wait until evening for the Lord to come. So where are they actually? Advaita Acharya was just about to go to Jagannath Puri and with the other devotees, but upon hearing this message, he waited. Hearing what message? Seeing Shrikant Sena, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bestowed causeless mercy upon him. Shrikant Sena stayed near Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for about 2 months at Jagannath Puri. When he was about to return to Bengal, the Lord told him, "Forbid the devotees of Bengal to come to Jagannath Puri this year. This year I shall personally go to Bengal to meet all the devotees there, headed by Advaita Acharya. Please inform Shivananda Sena that in the month of Pausha, December, January, I shall certainly go to his home. Jagadananda is there and he will give me offerings of food. Inform them all that no one should come to Jagannath Puri this year." When Shrikant Sena returned to Bengal and delivered this message, the minds of all the devotees were very pleased. Advaita Acharya was just about to go to Jagannath Puri with the other devotees, but upon hearing this message, he waited. Shivananda Sena and Jagadananda also stayed back, awaiting the arrival of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When the month of Pausha arrived, Jagadananda and Shivananda collected all kinds of paraphernalia for the Lord's reception. Every day they would wait until evening for the Lord to come. As the month passed, but Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not come, Jagadananda and Shivananda became most unhappy. Suddenly Nṛsiṁhānanda arrived and Jagadananda and Shivananda arranged for him to sit near them. Seeing them both so unhappy, Nṛsiṁhānanda inquired, "Why do I see that you are both despondent?" Then Shivananda Sena told him, "Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu promised that he would come. Why then has he not arrived?" And there is no WhatsApp those days. Where are you or something like that? Nothing. Hearing this, Nṛsiṁhānanda Brahmacharya replied, "Please be satisfied. I assure you that I shall bring him here 3 days from now." Shivananda and Jagadananda knew of Nṛsiṁhānanda Brahmacharya's influence and love of Godhead. Therefore, they now felt assured that he would certainly bring Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. His real name was Pradhuna Brahmacharya. The name Nṛsiṁhānanda had been given to him by Lord Gaurasundar himself. After meditating for 2 days, Nṛsiṁhānanda Brahmacharya told Shivananda Sena, "I have already brought Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the village known as Panihati." After meditating for 2 days, Nṛsiṁhānanda Brahmacharya told Shivananda Sena, "I have already brought Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the village known as Paṇḍita by meditating. Tomorrow at noon he will come to your home, therefore please bring all kinds of cooking ingredients. I shall personally cook and offer him food. See how he's came. In this way I shall bring him here very soon. Be assured that I am telling you the truth. Do not be doubtful. See, they are doubtful. What is this? Meditating and bringing. Where are you? But they knew, of course, of his influence and love of Godhead. So by meditating he can bring. He brought the Lord. Bring all the ingredients very soon, for I want to begin cooking immediately. Please do what I say. Nṛsiṁhānanda Brahmacharya said to Shivananda, please bring whatever cooking ingredients I want. Thus Shivananda Sena immediately brought whatever he asked for. Beginning early in the morning, Nṛsiṁhānanda Brahmacharya cooked many varieties of food, including vegetables, cakes, sweet rice and other preparations. After he finished cooking, he brought separate dishes for Jagadananda and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Jagannath and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He also separately offered dishes to Nṛsiṁhadev, his worshipable deity. So he offered to these three deities. Thus he divided all the food into 3 offerings. Then outside the temple he began to meditate upon the Lord. In his meditation he saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu quickly come, sit down and eat all 3 offerings, leaving behind no remnants. Pradhuna Brahmacharya was overwhelmed by transcendental ecstasy upon seeing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu eating everything. Thus tears flowed from his eyes. Nevertheless he expressed dismay, saying, Alas, alas, my dear Lord, what are you doing? You are eating everyone's food. My dear Lord, you are one with Jagannath, therefore I have no objection to your eating his offering, but why are you touching the offering of Lord Nṛsiṁhadev? I think that Nṛsiṁhadev could not eat anything today and therefore he is fasting. If the master fasts, how can the servant live? Although Nṛsiṁha Brahmacharya felt jubilation within his heart to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu eating everything, for the sake of Lord Nṛsiṁhadev he externally expressed disappointment. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, therefore there is no difference between him, Lord Jagannath and Lord Nṛsiṁhadev. Pradhuna Brahmacharya was deeply eager to understand this fact. Therefore Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu revealed it to him by practical demonstration. After eating all the offerings, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started for Paṇḍita. There he was greatly satisfied to see the different varieties of vegetables prepared in the house of Raghav. So practical demonstration, I think he showed himself as Nṛsiṁhadev. Shivananda said to Nṛsiṁhānanda, why are you expressing dismay? Nṛsiṁhānanda replied, just see the behavior of your Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He alone has eaten the offerings of all 3 deities. Because of this, both Jagannath and Nṛsiṁhadev remained fasting. When Shivananda Sena heard this statement, he was unsure whether Nṛsiṁhānanda Brahmacharya was speaking that way because of ecstatic love or because it was actually a fact. When Shivananda Sena was thus perplexed, Nṛsiṁhānanda Brahmacharya said to him, bring more food, let me cook again for Lord Nṛsiṁhadev. Then Shivananda Sena again brought the ingredients with which to cook, and Pradhuna Brahmacharya again cooked and offered the food to Nṛsiṁhadev. Okay, the next year Shivananda went to Jagannath Puri to see the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One day, in the presence of all the devotees, the Lord raised 3 topics concerning Nṛsiṁhānanda Brahmacharya and praised his transcendental qualities. The Lord said, last year in the month of Pausha, when Nṛsiṁhānanda gave me varieties of sweetmeats and vegetables to eat, they were so good and I felt I had never before eaten such preparations. Hearing this, all the devotees were struck with wonder and Shivananda became confident that the incident was true. See, he just offered in mind and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ate. In this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to eat at the temple of Sachimata every day and also visit the house of Srivas Thakur when Kirtan was performed. So I do not know. Similarly, he was present. He was always present when Nityananda Prabhu danced and he regularly appeared at the house of Raghav. So, he appeared wherever his devotees wanted him. Lord Gaurasundar is greatly influenced by the love of his devotees, therefore wherever there is pure devotion to the Lord himself, subdued by such love, appears and his devotees see him. Influenced by the loving affairs of Shivananda Sena, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came again and again. Therefore, who can estimate the limits of his love? Thus I have described the appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Anyone who hears about these incidents can understand the transcendental opulence of the Lord. So, in this way the Lord reciprocated with his devotees. And the other thing is where? Madhya Lila. Okay. We need to go back all the way. 10 and I think 43 what? No. 35. So here there is another Madhyalila 155. Okay. Madhya 155. When Sri Nṛsiṁhānanda Brahmachari heard that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would go to Vrindavan, he became very pleased and mentally began decorating the way there. First, Nṛsiṁhānanda Brahmachari contemplated a broad road starting from the city of Kulia. He bedecked the road with jewels, upon which he then laid a bed of stemless flowers. Nivrinta. Stemless. He mentally decorated both sides of the road with bakul flower trees, and at intervals on both sides he placed lakes of a transcendental nature. These lakes had bathing places constructed with jewels, and they were filled with blossoming lotus flowers. There were various birds chirping, and the water was exactly like nectar. The entire road was surcharged with many cool breezes which carried the fragrances from various flowers. He carried the construction of this road as far as Kanai Natshala. Kanai Natshala is about 200 miles from Calcutta on the loop line of the Eastern Railway. The railway station is named Talajhadi, and after one gets off at that station, he has to go about 20 miles to find Kanai Natshala. Natshala means, I think, drama school maybe, Natshala, or dance school, something like that. So then, within the mind of Nṛsiṁhānanda Brahmachari, the road could not be constructed beyond Kanai Natshala. He could not understand why the road's construction could not be completed, and thus he was astonished. You see how deep is this? Why it can't be done? Because everything is in his mind. How come he cannot do more than that? With great assurance, he then told the devotees that Lord Chaitanya would not go to Vrindavan at that time. Srila Nṛsiṁhānanda Brahmachari was a great devotee of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Therefore, when he heard that from Kulia, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was going to Vrindavan, although he had no material wealth, he began to construct within his mind a very attractive path or road for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to traverse. Some of the description of this path is given above, but even mentally he could not construct the road beyond Kanai Natshala. Therefore, he concluded that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would not go to Vrindavan at that time. For a pure devotee, it is the same whether he materially constructs a path or constructs one within his mind. This is because the Supreme Personality of Godhead Janardana is bhavagrahi, or appreciative of the sentiment. For him, a path made with actual jewels and a path made of mental jewels are the same. Though subtle, mind is also matter, so any path, indeed, anything for the service of the Lord, whether in gross matter or in subtle matter, is accepted equally by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord accepts the attitude of his devotee and sees how much he is prepared to serve him. The devotee is at liberty to serve the Lord either in gross matter or in subtle matter. The important point is that the service be in relation with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhaktyupahritam ashnami prayatatmanaha. Now he is a brahmachari. Brahmachari, what wealth he has? So he began constructing road in his mind, and the Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted it. And he in fact gave him information that he could understand the future of the Lord's pastimes. How can he predict even the Lord's pastime? This is different. I mean, astrologer, they try to do even faultily. Many nowadays astrologers quacks. They just even, they're faulty even at, what is the future of the ordinary people. He could predict the future of the Lord. That is pure devotee. If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water, I will accept it. The real ingredient is bhakti, devotion. Pure devotion is uncontaminated by the modes of material nature. Ahaitukya pratihata, unconditional devotional service cannot be checked by any material condition. This means that one does not have to be very rich to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even the poorest man can equally serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead if he has pure devotion. If there is no ulterior motive, devotional service cannot be checked by any material condition. In the purport to 1.227, Prabhupada says about Kanai Natshala. Okay, good. Okay, so we will just finish this part of the Kanair Natshala hoite asibu firina janibe paschat kohilu nischay korya. Nṛsiṁhānanda Brahmacharya said, the Lord will go to Kanai Natshala and then will return. All of you will come to know of this later, but I now say this with great assurance. How confident he was, you see. So Kanai Natshala, Madhya 1.227. I think I missed out some other references that were earlier mentioned. In the morning, okay, this was later when actually Lord went to Kanai Natshala. In the morning, the Lord left and went to a place known as Kanai Natshala. While there, he saw many pastimes of Lord Krishna. In those days in Bengal, there were many places known as Kanai Natshala where pictures of the pastimes of Lord Krishna were kept. People used to go there to see them. This is called Krishna Charitra Leela. In Bengal, there are still many places called Harisabha, which indicates a place where local people gather to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and discuss the pastimes of Lord Krishna. The word Kanai means Lord Krishna's and Natshala indicates a place where pastimes are demonstrated. So those places which at the present moment are called Harisabha may previously have been known as Kanai Natshala. Okay. So this depiction of pastimes can be in the form of pictures, can be in the form of dance, can be in the form of drama, and also can be a place where people can just congregate and lectures, like Harisabha, like they used to gather and then they will be speaking from Ramayana, Mahabharata, Bhagavatam, Vishnu Puran, these kind of pastimes of the Lord, and they explain just like now what we are having. This is Harisabha. We're discussing the pastimes of the Lord. Okay, so going back, what was that? Previous. In two incidences, the Lord accepts to be corrected by his devotees regarding women. Okay, so this is a comment by Subala Prabhu. One by Govindadas in the example above of the woman singing, and the other by Dāmodara Pandit, who chastised the Lord as the Lord was very merciful to a Brahmana boy, but since the boy's father had passed away, the Dāmodara was apprehensive and chastised the Lord. Oh, so this is the one? Yeah. Okay, that was by Govindadas. So Antya 3.15. Dear Lord, you are a learned teacher. Why then don't you consider that this boy is the son of a widowed Brahmani? Why are you so affectionate to him? So, because this boy, he looked like Krishna. He reminded him of Krishna. He reminded Caitanya Mahaprabhu of Krishna. See, this is the story. In Jagannath Puri, we are reading from Antilila 3.3. In Jagannath Puri, there was a young boy who had been born of an Orissan Brahmana but had later lost his father. The boy's features were very beautiful and his behavior was extremely gentle. The boy came daily to Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu and offered him respectful obeisances. He was free to talk with Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu because the Lord was his life and soul. But the boy's intimacy with the Lord and the Lord's mercy toward him were intolerable for Dāmodara Pandit. Dāmodara Pandit again and again forbade the son of the Brahmana to visit the Lord, but the boy could not bear staying home and not seeing Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. The boy came, so he first of all tried to control the boy instead of the Lord. But the boy could not control himself, he wanted to see Caitanya Mahaprabhu. The boy came every day to Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, who treated him with great affection. It is the nature of any boy to go see a man who loves him. This was intolerable for Dāmodara Pandit. He became greatly unhappy, but there was nothing he could say, for the boy would ignore his restrictions. One day when the boy came to Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, the Lord very affectionately inquired from him about all kinds of news. After some time, when the boy stood up and left, the intolerant Damodar Pandit began to speak. Damodar Pandit impudently said to the Lord, "Everyone says that you are a great teacher because of your instructions to others, but now we shall find out what kind of teacher you are." Anyopadeshe Pandit kohe Gosai Rithai, Gosai Gosai ebe Janimu Gosai. So purport, Damodar Pandit was a great devotee of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Sometimes, however, a person in such a position becomes impudent, being influenced by the external energy and material considerations. Thus, a devotee mistakenly dares to criticize the activities of the spiritual master or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Despite the logic that, quote, Caesar's wife must be above suspicion, unquote, a devotee should not be disturbed by the activities of his spiritual master and should not try to criticize him. Of course, if the guru is falling down with, children and boys and other girls and women, that is not a guru, first of all. We're talking about a person of the stature of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because sometimes these ISKCON disciples, they'll use this. You see, you cannot criticize my spiritual master. Whatever he is doing, that is his leela. If he is having sex with someone, he is purifying her womb so that the husband can have good child. These kind of things are nonsense are going on. It's a real story. I am not making up. One disciple thought like that. This is how. So a devotee should be fixed in his in the conclusion that the spiritual master cannot be subject to criticism and should never be considered equal to a common man. The devotee should be fixed in the conclusion that the spiritual master cannot be subject to criticism and should not be considered equal to a common man. It's very important. Of course, there are verses on this. 7:15:26 and 11:3:21. No, 11:20:17, I think. So, even if there appears to be some discrepancy according to an imperfect devotee's estimation, the devotee should be fixed in the conviction that even if his spiritual master goes to a liquor shop, he is not a drunkard. Rather, he must have some purpose in going there. It is said in a Bengali poem, Yadyapi Nityananda Surabadi Jai, Tathapiyo Hoy Nityananda Rai. Even if I see that Lord Nityananda has entered a liquor shop, I shall not be diverted from my conclusion that Nityananda Rai is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yadyapi Nityananda Surabadi Jai. So, actually I was looking for this verse where it is said that Nityananda Prabhu goes to a liquor shop. So he used to go to the liquor shop and he used to convert the drunkards into devotees. So that's why he said, even if I see Lord Nityananda enter a liquor shop, I shall not be diverted by my conclusion, that Nityananda Rai is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Very nice. But of course, this should not be misused by bogus gurus. But we should be very careful in our this thing. So now, एबे गोसायर गुण जश सब लोके गायबे तबे गोसायर प्रतिष्ठा पुरुषोत्तमे होइबे पुरुषोत्तमे होइबे. You are known as Gosai, teacher or Acharya. But now talk about your attributes and reputation will spread throughout the city of Purushottam. How your position will be impaired? It's not a question, it's a exclamation. How your position will be impaired. You see what you are doing. Your entire reputation is at stake now. Shuni Prabhu kohe kya kaha Damodar? Damodar kohe tumi swatantra Ishwar. Although Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu knew that Damodar Pandit was a pure and simple devotee, upon hearing this impudent talk, the Lord said, "My dear Damodar, what nonsense are you speaking?" Damodar Pandit replied, "You are the independent personality of Godhead beyond all criticism. Swachhande achar karo ke pare bolite, mukhar jagater mukha para achhadite." My dear Lord, you can act as you please. No one can say anything to restrict you. Nevertheless, the entire world is impudent. People can say anything. How can you stop them? You see? Yes, you can do whatever you like, but people are going to, talk. How can you stop them talking? Just like Ramachandra. Whatever he did, Sita he brought back, she was pure, but people started complaining in the Ayodhya. They had some resentment about it. And then he again banished her. There was no fault of his, no fault of hers. But people are impudent. And if convinced by their own impudence And if they pass a comment, oh, Sita can be, with another man, after 10 months, this Ram can still take back. What is the character of Ram? They said like that. How can he accept a woman who is away from him and with another man? So, although she was pure, fire could not burn her. Agni Pariksha, so pure. But still, the problem is, the Lord could have chastised those who had, talked nonsense. But because he wanted to set an example for the future kings. So future kings, if somebody is criticizing a king who has a fault, if he just silences that fault finder or a critic, then in the future, unscrupulous kings may do the same thing if somebody criticizes them. He will just silence the critic. Rather, he heard the criticism, and even if he did not have a fault, he still banished her to just show that whatever it is, even if there is no fault, if there is a perception of fault in the mind of a critic, that also should be removed, because the population should be having no doubt about the character of the devotee and the Lord. But of course, that is Ramachandra. He is teaching us how to be an ideal human being. But Krishna, he doesn't care. He doesn't care. If you want to criticize, you go ahead. Go ahead, I don't mind. So he showed everything. Sampurna Bhagavan. He had wives so many, he had girlfriends so many, But all that is loving spiritual affairs. It's not that he is a lusty man. No. He satisfied the devotees as they served him. He reciprocated, that's all. But anyway, this is what he's saying. Pandit hoya mane kene vichar na karo. Randi Brahmanir balake priti kena karo. Dear Lord, you are a learned teacher. Why then don't you consider that this boy is the son of a widowed Brahmani? Why are you so affectionate to him? So his chastisement of the Lord is based on affection for the Lord. He did not want the Lord to have any bad name. Although there was no fault of the Lord, actually. The Lord can have no fault anyway. Yadyapi Brahmani she tapasvini sati, tathapi tahar dosh sundari yuvati. So she is although the boy's mother is completely austere and chaste, she has one natural fault. She is a very beautiful young girl. That is a fault. Now, not particularly her fault, but so the thing is, if he becomes affectionate to the boy, people may conjecture that, oh, the Lord is actually affectionate to that. That being a sannyasi is attached to that, that young girl whose son is this, and he is trying to gain her favor by becoming affectionate to his boy. Now, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was thinking about nothing of that. Nor was the boy. I don't think even the girl is thinking like that. She is also, here is said, tapasvini sati, austere and chaste. She is very chaste. She is also not thinking anything. None of the three. But people might do. You might think, oh, that's just the people. Why do we worry? As long as we are not at fault. No, it matters still. Just like when Arjuna was trying to go away from the battlefield because of his compassion for his relatives, or rather affection or whatever. Because he is being a Vaishnava, and then he does not want to fight. But Krishna is saying, people will say that you have run away from the war being like a coward. You ran away. You see, he said in here. Now you may think, how does it matter what people think? Right? See here, 34, 35, 36, second chapter, Kirti. See, this is a bit of a digression. Okay, never mind. We will see this first and then go to the digression. So here, akirtim chapi bhutani kathaishyanti te vyayam sambhavitasya chakirtir maranadatirichyate. Actually, before itself he said, kirtim cha swadharmam kirtim cha hitva papamavapsase. If however you do not perform your religious duty of fighting, then you will certainly incur sins. Okay, that is about his swadharma. For neglecting your duties and thus lose reputation as a fighter. Who cares about reputation, right? Oh, we are in devotional service, nobody should be care about name and fame and all this, right? But why Krishna is saying to Arjuna, your reputation will be lost? Why? We will see that, you see. Now, akirtim chapi bhutani kathaishyanti te vyam sambhavitasya cha kirtir maranadatirichyate. People will always speak of your infamy, and for a respectable person, dishonor is worse than death. Alright, another place is saying tulya nindastu tirmauni. We have to be equal in praise and insult. And we have seen today morning we had a class where Rishabdev, how tolerant he was when he was spat upon, everything, he just did not care. But here he is speaking about respect and honor, and dishonor is worse than death. So why should we be concerned about honor and dishonor when a devotee is not supposed to be concerned about these things? Then next, bhayadranadu paratam mamsan tetvam maharatha yesham chatvam bahumato bhutva yasya silaghavam. Bhayad, out of fear. This was not Arjuna's feeling at all. He was not fearful. He was the greatest archer of his time. He has zero fear. Although the great generals were there on the opposite side. But he has zero fear. The great generals who have highly esteemed your name and fame will think that you have left the battlefield out of fear only, and thus they will consider you insignificant. This looks like petty prodding, right? Prodding him in a petty way. But no, there is. See, avachavadams chabahon vadishyanti tavahitah nindantastava samarthyam tato dukkhataram nukim. Your enemies will describe you in many unkind words and scorn your ability. What could be more painful for you? Now, why is reputation important for a devotee? Because he was supposed to set an example. Yadyad acharati shreshthas tattad evetaro janah sayat pramanam kurute lokas tadanu vartate. Now, we have to act in a dignified way where seeing our actions, our movement, Krishna consciousness movement, and Srila Prabhupada, everybody should be glorified by just seeing the devotees. Prabhupada should be glorified. We should not act in such a way that will bring disrepute to the spiritual master. In fact, Prabhupada in one place he said, you chant Jai Prabhupada, Prabhupada said this, Prabhupada said that is good. But when you are speaking with an outsider, you cannot say Prabhupada said this, therefore this is right. You can't say that. You have to speak with logic, you have to quote the Shastras and everything, because they don't accept Prabhupada. You are just a fanatic, they will say. So, that's not very good. So, we have to explain with Shastra. Did Prabhupada, when he presented him, did he say Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, therefore this is? He quoted Shastra. Of course, he quoted Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. It is a great Acharya, and he quoted him many times as well. But he always quoted from Shastra. So when people see, wow, these people are quoting from Shastra, this movement is something nice, who is the Guru? Prabhupada taught them like this. So the Prabhupada will get the good name, and the movement itself with the Guru will get a good name, and then people will have respect for the movement, and then people will take the movement as authority, and then with such authority we can move forward and in presenting Krishna consciousness, and people will take us seriously. If our achar is just hopeless, and our prachar will be hopeless, nobody will pay attention, nobody will pay respect, and if they don't pay respect, they don't hear. So we are depriving them the chance to hear by acting in a way which is not reputable, known, the by the standard of behavior. If we deviate, then that's what will happen. So the reputation will give them a chance to hear seriously. Because any opulence will attract people. Prabhupada said, I can speak under the tree, but who is going to come? But if I have a nice temple, people will come for the temple, and they will be, by chance they will come and sit with the devotees and then hear about Harikatha, and that will actually what will purify them. So the opulence will attract the people, and then the core message can then be delivered. So name, fame, beauty, or whatever, these opulences, these 6 opulences will attract people. So some opulence has to be there in worship of the Lord to satisfy the Lord, but also attract the attention of the outsiders. Then when they come, this speaker, yes, he has some following, he has some social media. You see, like this Gaur Gopal, he has millions of followers, and people respect him for that. what he's speaking is that's rubbish, that's complete rubbish. But just because of some fame, people take him seriously and people sit down there and listen. He's talking rubbish, but people listen just because some actor is speaking, whatever he speaks become just like some motivational talk. Just because of his fame, it is. If that was not there, there are so many people speaking, but nobody cares about them. So therefore, reputation is important for Krishna. So we as Yukta Vairagis, at least supposed Yukta Vairagi, we have to follow the Rupa Goswami's principle. So for our personal sake, we have to have zero interest in fame and wealth and female association, Dhana Jana Sundari. But for the masses, of course, no Sundari. But Dhana and Jana, if it is there, if we have wealth, like our Krishna consciousness movement at Prabhupada's time was, they were having millions of dollars, but they were spending everything for opening temples and buying more vehicles to do traveling preaching and print more books and conduct festivals in a grand scale. So all these things require money. So dhana is required, but we have not to use that for our personal thing, but for Krishna, profusely, generously, and of course prudently, not just like splashing all the wealth. That is not generously, means judiciously and generously, not just generously without judiciousness. No, has to be there, judiciousness. Now, reputation also, fame also has to be done Yukta Vairagya. We don't need the fame, but for Krishna we have to command some fame, and that will come. Prabhupada said, how the people will respect you? Just you follow these 4 principles and chant 16 rounds, people will respect you, just for your character. And of course, on top of that, if you can learn some Sanskrit, you can learn these verses, you can quote references, everything, then people will automatically gain the respect. And that we should not abuse that. A devotee should not abuse that. Oh, people are respecting me. Oh, that's nice. Now I can get whatever I want. No, he should never do that. He should just use that to give them an opportunity to hear more. That's all. And because that hearing will purify them. More and more people. Like you see, how many people are there on this live stream? 19 people. We want 19,000 people at least on this live stream. Then more benefit for people, right? We want thousands, millions of people on this live stream. This is what? 19 people. What is this? So, this is not good. Message is very, very elevated, but audience, nobody. So, we need to somehow or other get this to the people. So, this is all important. So, yadyat acharati shreshthas tattadevetaro janah. So, Krishna himself said, whoever the prominent people in society, if they, whatever they do, people will follow. So, if they do properly, then, so Arjuna here, was, he has to, as a Kshatriya, he has to set a good example so that in the future people can follow his example. Oh, he has run away from warfare. Oh, Arjuna ran away, so I can also run away. And then there will be rumors on why he ran away. Oh, maybe because of fear, maybe he was a coward, maybe he was just like terrified, he went into panic, he got a panic attack or something. But he was not such a Kshudram Hridaya Daurbalyam. He was not a weak-hearted person. Krishna chastised him. Why are you acting like a weak-hearted person? And Prabhupada also said, the opulence. He said, I can sit under the tree, but who's going to listen? But if there is a temple, people will come and listen. Opulence. So we have to set an example or something to attract. The example must be set. Achara, then prachar. So then the digression I was talking about is this. See, in the 2nd chapter, 2:2. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Kutastha Kashmalamidam Vishame Samupasthitam Anaryajustam Asvargyam Akirtikaram Arjuna. Now here he is just like, making friendly but slighting remark against Arjuna. Supreme Personality of Godhead said, my dear Arjuna, how have these impurities come upon you? They are not at all befitting a man who knows the value of life. Anarya. Arya means one who knows the value of life. Anarya means one who does not know the value of life. So you are behaving like an Anarya who doesn't know the value of life. They lead not to higher planets but to infamy. So here there are 3 things he mentioned. Anarya Jushtam. Arya means one who is knows that the goal of life is self-realization. So anarya jushtam asvargyam, swarga you cannot get, you will go to hellish planets, and akirtikaram, you will be your reputation will go, infamy, you will have infamy, you will not be famous, you will be infamous for a wrong thing. So now he said three things, right? Anarya, asvargam and akirti. Now these three actually he expanded. So Arya means one who knows self-realization. So the verses 11 through 30 of the second chapter are all about understanding who I am as a soul and not the body. So an Arya must understand these things. So he is spiritually, he knows. And then Asvargyam, verses 31 through 33, he talks about swadharmam, one should do one's duty so that he will get heavenly planets. Even 37 also is mentioned this. Jitvava lokshase mahim. And then, what is that? Hatva prapsase swargam. So if you are killed in this battlefield, you will get heavenly planets. If you win the battle, you will enjoy the earth. So what is the loss? So in that way he said. So 31 to 33 is about asvargyam. And 34, actually 33 itself he starts. Sambhavit, what is that? Kirtim. Tata swadharmam kirtim cha hitva papam avapsasi. Kirtim, he's already mentioned in 33, but 34 is when he starts. 34 to 36 is about this. And then 37, 38 he kind of summarizes again. So you see, each of those three, he actually elaborated in sections of that chapter. Like this we can see how Krishna, whatever he's saying, he's not just not saying just like that, and he's corroborating all of that and explaining in detail why is that. So it's just an observation we have made this just to share that. Now, and of course after that again starts Buddhi Yoga, which is again, because in the first part 11 to 30 he also only mentioned about soul and body, but what is the soul related to, that starts in 39, and then of course 41, and again there's a digression to a Bhogeshwari Prasaktanam and all this, heavenly planets and all this, those who do not understand, and then again comes back to those who do understand the purpose of the Vedas, and 46 onwards, 45, 46 onwards, and then Karmanyavadhikaraste, how one should act. So, and then eventually it comes to the point of, then Arjuna asking the question, the art of work actually is there in the 47 to 51, the art of work, how one should actually perform his activities. And then of course there is the Abhidheya, and then there's the Prayojan also, the last two verses of second chapter. So everything is there in the second chapter. That's why it's called Contents of the Gita Summarized, the chapter name. So in this way, there is also again Arya. Sthita Prajna Saka Bhasha. So who is Sthita Prajna? Who is firmly established in his intelligence, in transcendental intelligence. So that is also an Arya. Arya's symptoms. So all this is so condensed in this one verse here, in the second verse of the second chapter. This one. So anyway, so his reputation is important. So going back all the way here, although the boy's mother is completely austere and chaste, she has one natural fault. She is a very beautiful young girl. So of course there is another verse, I think it comes here only. Shuklavastre Masibindu Jaiche Nalukai Sanyasira Alpachidra Sarvaloke Gai. I think it comes here maybe. Tumiha param yuva param sundar loker kanakani bate deho avasar. See, so she is a very beautiful young girl, but she is a widow. And you, my dear Lord, are a handsome, attractive young man. Therefore, certainly people will whisper about you. Why should you give them such an opportunity? As a simple and staunch devotee of Lord Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, Damodar Pandit could not tolerate criticism of the Lord, but unfortunately he himself was criticizing Lord Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu in his own way. The Lord could understand that it was because of Damodar Pandit's simplicity that he impudently dared criticize him. Nevertheless, such behavior by devotee is not very good. See? Eta boli Damodar mauna hoila antare santosh prabhu hasi vicharila. Having said this, Damodar Pandit became silent. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu smiled, pleased within himself, and considered the impudence of Damodar Pandit. Ihari koya shuddha premer taranga, Damodar shamam or nahi antaranga. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu thought, this impudence is also a sign of pure love for me. I have no other intimate friend like Damodar Pandit. Etek vichari Prabhu madhyahane chalila ar dine Damodar nibhrite bolaila. Thinking in this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to perform his noon duties. The next day he called Damodar Pandit to a solitary place. Prabhu kohe, Damodar, chalo ha nadiya. Matar samipe tumi raho taha jaya. The Lord said, my dear friend Damodar, you had better go to Nadia and stay with my mother. Tuma vina tahar rakshak nahi dekhiyan, amake gha jate tumi koila savadhan. I see no one but you to protect her, for you are so careful that you can caution even me. He's a bit of sarcasm here. So you are careful that you are so careful that you can caution even me. I see no one but you to protect her. So his mother Sachimata once offended Advaita Acharya, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when Advaita Acharya was paying his obeisances to Sachimata, he asked his mother Sachimata to touch Advaita Prabhu's feet, because when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas, she accused Advaita Acharya that he is the one who conspired against and arranged for the sannyas of my son so that he can separate from me. He is the culprit, Advaita Acharya. So she made this offense. So he asked her to offer obeisances or touch Advaita Acharya's feet in this thing. So he said like this: I see no one but you to protect her, for you are so careful that you can caution even me. Tuma sama nirapeksha nahi mor gane, nirapeksha nahile dharma na jai rakshane. So he said one more thing. You are the most neutral among my associates. This is very good, for without being neutral, one cannot protect religious principles. If you are just my yes man, then this thing. I mean, if one is neutral, but this cannot be applied to the Lord or his pure devotee. But generally, we should be like this. But to the devotees, especially those who are established devotees, we have to understand that they are protecting religious principles themselves. And like you see, like in ISKCON, they are so sold out to their guru. And guru, horrible things he does, still they don't find anything wrong. So this is because they are not neutral. They have a bias. Because they are the disciples. So when one is neutral, one can protect religious principles. Like we see from the outside, we don't have attachment to those gurus. So there is this. But a pure devotee, we cannot do this to a pure devotee, or one who is actually following everything nicely. Of course, there has to be dohar parikshan, there has to be some examination, but when one is satisfied, then that's it. He has to accept. Hama hoite je na hoy, se toma hoite hoy, amare korila danda ana keban hoy. You can do whatever I cannot. Again he is saying, he said this to Nityananda Prabhu also. Indeed, you can chastise even me, what to speak of others. So there is some sarcasm here as well. This chastising me, nobody does, but you are doing. So that's not very good in one sense. So matar gruhe raho jai matar charane, tomar aage nahibo karo swachhanda charane. It is best for you to go to the shelter of my mother's lotus feet, for no one will be able to behave independently in front of you. Madhya madhya ashiba kabhu amar darshane, shighra kari punah taha karo gamane. At intervals you may come see me here and then soon go there. Matare kohi ho moro koti namaskare, moro sukho katha kohi sukho dina tare. Offer my mother millions of my obeisances. Please speak to her about my happiness here and thus give her happiness. Tell her that I sent you to inform her of my personal activities so that she may share in my happiness. Speaking in this way, satisfy the mind of Mother Sachi. Also remind her of one most confidential incident with this message from me. I come to your home again and again to eat all the sweetmeats and vegetables you offer. So here, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was visiting Sachimata. So she was in this great bewilderment. Anyway, that's a whole other story. This is the story. You know that I come and eat the offerings, but because of external separation, you consider this a dream. Mother Sachimata used to cook so much and then offer to her son. of Krishna, and then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would eat everything, although he was in Jagannath Puri. And then she sees that everything is, all the pots are empty. Then she is confused. Did I cook? Why are they empty? I think I did not cook. I think I was dreaming or what. Okay, again she will start cooking. Again she will cook the whole thing, and again offer again is finished. What am I doing? Am I even? Maybe I am growing senile. That kind of thing. But actually, he is now confirming that actually I have been coming and eating your food every day. Although you were thinking it is a dream. It's out of separation. So, he even mentioned the items that she cooked and everything. So anyway, the point was that when he criticized the Lord, on one side he said that this is the sign of love, that he doesn't want Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to be, criticized, but he was criticizing the Lord. Of course, to protect him from such infamy, but still Prabhupada mentioned in the purport, so this kind of behavior is not good, especially with the Guru. But generally one should be neutral and one should be, that's how religious principles are protected. So that is also required, but we have to be very careful. It is a delicate line, you see. With devotees, if we try to be too critical, and it's, not too critical. In fact, those who are advanced devotees, we should not hesitate. But those who are not advanced, then we have to, of course, if there is correction also is there, so we have to correct the junior devotees about this. But here, the thing is, it's a senior. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is way and he is God. So he did not, there is no mention that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stopped associating with that boy. I don't think there is further mention of the boy, but certainly he would have continued associating. But just that Damodar Pandit was sent away to Nadia. So by bringing him away or sending him away, also Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is, although saying on one way that okay, you can caution even me and all that, but he's sending him away. Because so sometimes when we are near to the spiritual master, we may become a critic. So staying far is better for such a person. So a few lessons are to be taught here. But of course, internally, it's an act of love. But again, to show or to teach the devotees in general how one should act and everything. So he's showing different things in one lila. So that is this Damodar Pandit's lila. What is the time? Okay, 9:20. Maybe we will stop. Where were we? 10:35 was finished, right? Nṛsiṁhānanda Brahmacharya we have seen, then we have seen Damodar Pandit's activities today. I was worried the small boy will be sad if the Lord stops associating with him. Well, anyway, I don't know what happened to the small boy after that. So, we will do a little bit more, maybe until 9:45 or something like that. Narayana Pandit ek bada hi udar, Chaitanya charana vinu nahi jane yaar. Narayan Pandit, the 14th branch, a great and liberal devotee, did not know any shelter but Lord Chaitanya's lotus feet. Narayan Pandit was one of the associates of Srivas Thakur. It is mentioned in Chaitanya Bhagavat Antyakhanda 8th chapter verse 36 that he went to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Jagannath Puri with the Thakur's brother Sri Ram Pandit. Srivas Thakur's brother is Sri Ram Pandit. Srivas Thakur is the first branch, right? We remember. First two branches are Srivas Thakur and Srivas Pandit and Sri Ram Pandit. Shriman Pandit Shakha Prabhur Nija Bhritya Deuti Dharena Jabe Prabhu Karen Nritya. The 15th branch was Shriman Pandit, who was a constant servitor of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He used to carry a torch while the Lord danced. Shriman Pandit was among the companions of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when the Lord performed Sankirtan. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu dressed himself in the form of goddess Lakshmi and danced in the streets of Navadvip, Shriman Pandit carried a torch to light the way. Shuklambar Brahmachari Bada Bhagyavan Jara Annamagikari Khaila Bhagavan. The 16th branch, Shuklambar Brahmachari, was very fortunate because Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu jokingly or seriously begged food from him or sometimes snatched it from him forcibly and ate it. Purport. It is stated that Shuklambar Brahmachari, an inhabitant of Navadvip, was Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's first companion in the Sankirtan movement. When Lord Chaitanya returned from Gaya after initiation, he stayed with Shuklambar Brahmachari because he wanted to hear from this devotee about the pastimes of Lord Krishna. Shuklambar Brahmachari collected alms of rice from the inhabitants of Navadvip, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took pleasure in eating the rice that he cooked. It is said that Shuklambar Brahmachari was one of the wives of the Yajnik Brahmanas during the time of Lord Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. Lord Krishna begged food from the wives of the Yajnik Brahmanas, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu performed a similar pastime by begging rice from Shuklambar Brahmachari. This shows that how the Lord knows all of his previous lives and his devotees' lives as well. He's doing the same thing that he did in his previous life. Nandanacharya Shakha Jagate Vidita Lukayadui Prabhur Jar Ghare Sthita. Nandanacharya, the 17th branch of the Chaitanya tree, is celebrated within the world because the two Prabhus, Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda, sometimes hid in his house. So, let's see what is this. Nandanacharya was another companion of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu during his Kirtan pastimes in Navadvip. Srila Nityananda Prabhu, as Avadhut, travelled on many pilgrimages, and when he first came to Sri Navadvip Dham, he remained hidden in the house of Nandanacharya. It is there that he first met all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exhibited his Mahaprakash, he asked Ramai Pandit to call Advaita Prabhu, who was hiding in the home of Nandanacharya, for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could understand that he was hiding. Similarly, Lord Chaitanya also sometimes hid in the home of Nandanacharya. In this connection, one may refer to Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat Madhyakhanda chapters 6 and 17. 6 and 17. Wow, actually, I do not know. It would be nice if we have a context of this Nandanacharya and why everybody is hiding in his house. Of course, Chaitanya Bhagavat Madhyakhanda is mentioned here, but I do not know, we have the time. But of course, we will be able to better appreciate Nandanacharya, just like we are able to better appreciate now who is this Nṛsiṁhānanda Brahmachari, who did Manasik Seva to the Lord, and he could understand about the Lord. Oh yeah, I wanted to show you this. How he found out about the Lord's future before even the Lord did the pastime. So similarly, Vyasadeva also could see that Kalki was coming 427,000 years from now, and Buddha would be coming, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would be coming. So in this way, there is already mentioned prediction. So they understand these things. So Trikalagnya, and neither time, space and thought can separate the devotee from knowing the Lord. So time, even future, not to speak about even the past, future also, and that is explained here in this verse by Yamunacharya in his Stotra Ratna. Adilila 3.89. Ullangita trividhasima samatishaye sambhavanam tava parivradhima svabhavam maya balena bhavatapi niguhyamanam pashyanti kechidanisham tvadananya bhavaham. So this is by Trividha, Ullangita Trividha Sima, the limitations, the three kinds of limitations. What are they? O my Lord, everything within material nature is limited by time, space and thought. Your characteristics, however, being unequaled and unsurpassed, are always transcendental to such limitations. You sometimes cover such characteristics by your own energy, but nevertheless, your unalloyed devotees are always able to see you under all circumstances. Purport. This verse is also quoted from the Stotra Ratna, 13th verse of Yamunacharya. Everything covered by the influence of Maya is within the limited boundaries of space, time and thought. Even the greatest manifestation we can conceive, the sky, also has limitations, because the shell of the universe is the ultimate limitation of the sky. Well, that is within this universe. Of course, beyond this universe there is unlimited spiritual sky. From the authentic scriptures, however, it is evident that beyond the sky is a covering of 7 layers, each 10 times thicker than the one preceding it. The covering layers are vast, but with or without covering, space is limited. Our power to think about space and time is also limited. Time is eternal. We may imagine billions and trillions of years, but that will still be an inadequate estimation of the extent of time. Our imperfect senses, therefore, cannot think of the greatness of this personality of Godhead, nor can we bring him within the limitations of time or our thinking power. His position is accordingly described by the word ullanghita. He is transcendental to space, time, and thought. Although he appears within them, he exists transcendentally. Even when the Lord's transcendental existence is disguised by space, time, and thought. However, pure devotees of the Supreme Lord can see him in his personal features beyond space, time, and thought. In other words, even though the Lord is not visible to the eyes of ordinary men, those who are beyond the covering layers because of their transcendental devotional service can still see him. The sun may appear covered by a cloud, but actually it is the eyes of the tiny people below the cloud that are covered, not the sun. If those tiny people rose above the cloud in an airplane, they could then see the sunshine and the sun would without impediment. Similarly, although the covering of Maya is very strong, Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Daivi Hesha Gunamaya Mamaya Duratya Mamevaya Prapadyanti Maya Metam Tarantite. This divine energy of mind consisting of the 3 modes of material nature is difficult to overcome, but those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. To surpass the influence of the illusory energy is very difficult, but those who are determined to catch hold of the lotus feet of the Lord are freed from the clutches of Maya. Therefore, pure devotees can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but demons, because of their miscreant behavior, cannot understand the Lord, in spite of seeing the many revealed scriptures and the uncommon activities of the Lord. So in this way, space, time and thought cannot. In fact, Srila Prabhupada also said in one instance in the United States, when he just went there and in the very early days before even the movement started, he was sitting with one of the earliest devotees or something like that, and then he was saying, the devotees are there, the temples are there, the deities are there, only time is separating us from them. So he predicted the future, that there are going to be devotees, thousands of them. There are going to be festivals, there are going to be devotees chanting, temples established, everything. He could see it, everything. He could see the future, what was going to happen. And he just told, everything is there, but time is separating us from them. So he just saw time in a very different way. So with time, everything would be manifested. So in that way, the Lord reveals his pastime. So because this movement is the pastime of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so we have to participate in it wholeheartedly. And you see, that is another instance where Prabhupada could see the future. And similarly, this Nṛsiṁhānanda Brahmacharya could see the future. And similarly, Bhaktivinoda Thakur also saw the future in 1975. He predicted, soon there will be a personality who will unrestrictedly travel all over the world. And remember, this was way before the plane was even invented. The airplane was not even there at the time when Bhaktivinoda Thakur predicted. How could he have even, if materially speaking, how could he have predicted that a person would single-handedly go all around the world unrestricted and he would preach and spread Madhurya Ras everywhere? So that is unimaginable, with the facilities that were there at that time. Therefore, he could see the future. He could see. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, the time will come when he will do everything. So some sannyasis were asking him to take sannyas and encouraging him to take. No, leave him alone. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, leave him alone. When the time comes, he will do everything. So he could see. So these things, pure devotees are aware like that. Trikalagnya. Narad Muni also is Trikalagnya. He could see the future. So in this way, like he said, Krishna will come to Nalakovar and Manigriva. Krishna will come and you will be able to witness his pastimes and will be delivered by him. And of course, Krishna wanted to fulfill the words of Narad Muni. But you see, this is the thing. They can see. So we have a very limited understanding of what we can see, and we may think that the pure devotee also sees like how we see. Not at all. Not at all. A simple example Prabhupada gave, like the bonnet of a car. If a car breaks down and I open the bonnet to to see what is wrong. I don't understand. There's so many things there and I am also looking at it. But when the mechanic comes and he looks at it, he immediately knows what's wrong. And he fixes it and the car starts to move again. Now what is the difference in both the seeing? I also am seeing with my eyes, you are also seeing with your eyes, but you understood, I did not understand. What is this? So because he has knowledge of the workings of the car. Similarly, a devotee has the knowledge of the workings of Krishna. So when he sees way differently than an ordinary person sees. But externally looks like he is seeing the same thing. He is, the same. So that's why we may have a very material estimation of the pure devotee, and that is condemned. Seven 15:26. Yasya sakshat bhagavati jnana deepa prade gurao martya saddhi shrutam tasya sarvam kunjara shauchavat. The spiritual master should be considered to be directly the Supreme Lord because he gives transcendental knowledge for enlightenment. Consequently, for one who maintains the material conception that the spiritual master is an ordinary human being, everything is frustrated. His enlightenment and his Vedic studies and knowledge are like the bathing of an elephant. An elephant bathes, profusely in the water, extensively. And then it comes out and throws dust on himself. So that is how our reading will be. We are reading all these things to cleanse ourselves, but if we have this kind of mentality about the Guru, again, we are actually throwing dust upon ourselves. So it is waste. In other words, all those learning will come to no fruition. It will be, completely waste. So, and because he will just behave like an ignorant person. An ignorant person has a similar estimation of a devotee, a pure devotee. And if I, after having all this read and everything, if I have the same understanding about the pure devotee, then what is the understanding? How am I different from that non-devotee? There is something else here. Okay, here is another prediction. Tiruvanmoyi, I think, is of the Divya Prabandha. Namalvar speaks about a vision he had. Poriga, Poitru. This is all Tamil. Okay, I'm going to read the English. Victory, victory, victory. I behold something wonderful. All the inauspiciousness of the living entities is destroyed. No one is going to hell. Yamaraj has no more any work. And the effects of Kali Yuga ceased to exist. This is because all over the world an increasing number of Lord Vishnu's devotees sing his names while dancing and playing musical instruments. That's our movement, and Prabhupada did this. Wow, beautiful, beautiful. 5:2:1. Beautiful reference. Thank you, Subal Prabhu. So, you see how this is predicted way, like how many, I think at least 1,000+ years ago. So they can see all these things. Namalvar was born, wow. Namalvar was born 3059 BC. That means 5,000 years ago. Wow. And in that he wrote, at that time he wrote this thing. So that is, at that time if somebody heard that, people will be thinking, what are you talking about? Come on. 5,000 years later it came true. I mean, so even when Bhaktivinoda Thakur predicted in 1875, 1896 was when Prabhupada taken birth. So 1875 people would have thought, what is he even talking about? I mean, come on. He's just crazy or what? People may think like that. This is the thing about pure devotee. They can see all these things. So actually I like reading it this way, that we have gone to the pastimes of Nṛsiṁhānanda Brahmacharya, because instead of just the names, now we have so much context, so much thing. Now we can always remember, because I forget stories, because when I read, I just read like this. So we have been reading the verses one by one. But if we actually go and, okay, this is explained there, okay, go there and see the whole thing, it will better stay in my memory actually, and the whole connection will be more solid in a sense. So I actually prefer that, here also it is mentioned, there is a reference to Chaitanya Bhagavat Madhyakhanda. Now maybe, I think we will do this in the next session. Today there is not much time, so we'll stop here. But I think next time we have to read about Nandanacharya and why everybody was hiding in his place. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu hid in his place, Nityananda Prabhu hid, Advaitacharya hid in his place. So something interesting there, right? And then we can also go Navadvip Dham. You see Navadvip Dham, Nandanacharya. So when we go to Navadvip and all this, we have some at least contact. Maybe we can remember some of these pastimes. And if we go with full preparation and notes, we can remember all of these pastimes and we can discuss them in that dham. And here is where this happened, this story happened. It is very interesting like that. So I would prefer actually to go to Chaitanya Bhagavat and read those chapters 6 and 17. So to see the story, and maybe we will find gems there. Like you see, just now we have read about Nṛsiṁhānanda, and then we we came upon this topic of how Manasik Seva is one thing, and how the Lord accepted, and how he could see the future, and all these things again. So now I will not easily forget Nṛsiṁhānanda Brahmacharya, or his other name is Pradhuna Brahmacharya. So in this way, so to remember the names of the devotees, if we remember some of their pastimes, then we can remember easily their names. So if you don't hear much about them, then who are they? Maybe not. I don't know. Raghav Pandit, we don't know. Damayanti, we do not know. But then when we learn about how they cooked for the Lord with great, love, Raghav Chali, his bags, so we will, we will remember that name and we will connect. So it is better that way. Yes. So Nishita Mataji is asking, is it fair to say that in the bhajans written by our acharyas describing the Lord or his devotees' pastimes, so Gaurarthi, Narad Muni, Bhajai Vina, they are describing situations they are actively seeing? Yes. So actually I mentioned this just I think previous class or the previous class. So this Gaurarthi song, that picture of that whole song, we have Srivas Thakur and Narad Muni also there. So everybody was there, and then that whole vision was never mentioned in Chaitanya Bhagavat, Chaitanya Charitamrita, but Bhaktivinoda Thakur is seeing all these things, pastimes. So these are all not just imaginations, they are really what the pure devotees see. And I have mentioned this before. Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote a book called Navadvip Dham Mahatmya and another book called Navadvip Bhav Taranga. 2 books he wrote. So in the Navadvip Bhav Taranga, I think, or Navadvip Dham Mahatmya, in one of those 2 books. So he actually mentioned this whole place as Ishodhyan, and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur comments on that. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur described Navadvip as this beautiful Lord's garden, beautiful garden of the Lord, and he called it Ishodhyan. In fact, in Mayapur temple, if you go, there are many guest houses, and one of the guest houses' name is Ishodhyan Bhavan, I think. Ishodhyan. So the Lord's garden, and that is actually from Navadvip Bhav Taranga. So there, Bhaktivinoda Thakur describes this whole garden of the Lord in Navadvip, huge, vast garden, and he in fact he describes the whole thing in great detail, and he describes that there is a Nṛsiṁha temple there in that garden, and when he sees that garden, then he actually bowed down at the feet of Nṛsiṁhadev in the Nṛsiṁhadev temple, and he wrote 5 verses in the Navadvip Bhav Taranga. About, I think KK songs, those 5 things are mentioned by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. I think so. So the 5 verses glorifying Nṛsiṁhadev, asking him to remove all obstacles in his worship of Radha and Krishna. Beautiful. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur commented that you will never find, a materialist will never be able to find that garden in Navadvip. So was Bhaktivinoda Thakur imagining, or was it senile? No. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said an ordinary man would just find ordinary utensils and some hut or something like that. At that time, Navadvip was not even developed. Now at least it's a little bit more developed because pilgrims go there and everything. But those days, no development. I mean, beginning of the 20th century and even 19th century, no development there. Nothing. It was just a hut and some pots and pans, some bucket, something like that. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said ordinary materialists would find only that. But a pure devotee only can see this vision, the spiritual vision, and he can see the entire. That's why Kabehama Bujhabo Shri Vrindavan. Even in the Tulsi song we sing like that. Please give me mercy so that I can Nayane Haribo. What is that? Nayane Haribo. I always forget when I'm talking, when I want to quote the Tulsi song, I always forget those verses. Sada Jugal Rupa Rashi. So कभी हम नयने हरिबो सदा जुगल रूप राशि. So with my eyes I can see the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. If you give me permission, Tulsi Devi. Seva adhikara diya koro nijo dasi. So please give me the adhikar to do seva. So we are begging the Tulsi Maharani, because she is the most dear servant of the Lord. So please give me mercy so that I can also do some service, and so that I can see Vrindavan and the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. So really seeing Vrindavan is that Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santa Sadaiva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti. And recollection, that other verse, what was that? 542 of Brahma Samhita. Ananda Chinmaya Rasatmataya Manahsu, you see, Yah Praninam Pratiphalan Smaratam Upetya Leela Yitena Bhuvanani Jayatya Jasram Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So Manahsu Yah Praninam Pratiphalan Smaratam. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, whose glory ever triumphantly dominates the mundane world by the activity of his own pastimes, being reflected in the mind of recollecting souls as the transcendental entity of ever blissful cognitive rasa. So what the Lord shows, or what is described in Caitanya Charitamrita or anything, like even in the end of Caitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami admits that whatever he has described in this book is just less than even a drop. It's just a drop in the ocean of pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So whatever, we don't know so many things, right? That's why it is said, Ramayana on earth is 25,000 verses, in the Brahmaloka it is 1 billion verses. 25,000 and 1 billion, it's like not even 0.1%. So so small information we have. It's like a tiny drop in the ocean. So similarly, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in fact it is said that Vyasadeva will come in the future and write extensively on the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He said, what I have given you is only a glimpse, he said. So, in the next Kali Yuga, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would not be there, because he only comes once in a day of Brahma. So next Kali Yuga, what will happen to the people of... We have that song by Vasudev Datta, I think. Jadi Gaur na hoito, tabe ki hoito. If Gauranga Mahaprabhu was not there, what would have happened of the population of Kali Yuga? What would have happened to us? So, but next Kali Yuga, Gauranga Mahaprabhu is not going to be there. So what will happen to the population? So this wealth of the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will be described again by Vyasadeva. It is mentioned there. And people will take advantage of that. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So I do not know what happens exactly in Kali Yuga, but again, Harinam has to go on, right? And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes will be written. It is said already. Again, that is a prediction. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, of course, predicted Prativitya Achajota Nagradigram Sarvatra Prachar Yogumurnam. But here, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is predicting that in the future Vyasadeva will come and extensively write on the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes, and that is a prediction. It's going to happen many millions of years later, maybe even. But again, prediction. So I never, in the AMA you mentioned, yes. Himanshu saying, in the AMA we mentioned about this. So anyway, I never, when I read Chaitanya Charitamrita, when I see this references of Chaitanya Bhagavatam, I'd never cared to actually go to that source and really read through that, because if I read through, then it will be much better appreciation. So since we are going through this, I would rather go through all of that. So then we will know about Nandanacharya's pastimes, because it's not a very well-known name. I never paid attention to this name. I read the Chaitanya Charitamrita, but never struck me. But now with this, if we learn about his pastimes, then we can know the story. Subal Prabhu is saying it is interesting that Vyasadeva accepted his guru as Narad Muni to write Srimad Bhagavatam, and Vrindavan Das Thakur, he accepted his guru as Nityananda Prabhu to write Chaitanya Bhagavat. Anyway, the Adi Guru is Nityananda Prabhu, Balram. So we will go to this Chaitanya Bhagavat Madhya Khanda, chapter 6 and 17. I may forget. I may just go to the next verse, 1040, since we finished in 1039. But please remind me if I do forget. I hope I don't. to Nandanacharya is where we have stopped, and I'll take any questions if there are there. If there are nothing, then we will stop. Satya Chaitanya Das. I don't know who is this, Prabhu. He's saying you are doing business with Prabhupada. In what way? In what way? Unfortunately, ISKCON has become that now. And Prabhupada is going more and more to the sidelines of ISKCON. Putting all these gurus not authorized by Prabhupada, never did he say, Yeah, so Radhika Sakhi Mataji is saying there's a book called Divine Prophecy, full of predictions from Divya Prabandha about our movement. Yes, and I think Bhaktivikas Swami's disciple, one of them, has translated that. I have a copy of it. I think I did mention a few things from there in our. There is one class which is the Shastric Predictions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There is a lecture that I did, I remember, in the beginning of Chaitanya Charitamrita. I think this was third chapter of the Adilila somewhere, probably. So there, these predictions, one of the classes, I have gone through some of the predictions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Shastric evidence of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because some people don't accept him as God, as Krishna. Alright, so we'll stop that here. Stop the class here. Jai Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.